You know, one of my relative told me the other day that Mount Everest के ऊपर से world looks amazing. So even I decided that I want to climb the Mount Everest right away. What do you think will happen? I will tell you, wait. But before that, hello everyone. Welcome to our new series, Learn with Upstocks. इस सीरीज में हम रेशियो एनालिसिस, इंडस्ट्री एनालिसिस, बैलेंस शीट एनालिसिस और कई सारे टॉपिक्स के बारे में बात करने वाले. लेट्स डिस्कस अबाउट द टॉपिक ऑफ म्यूचुअल फंड रेशियोज राइट नाउ. In this video, we are going to talk about 5 important ratios. Like I said just 1 or 2 minutes ago, just because my friend was able to seamlessly climb the Mount Everest, do you feel automatically I'll be able to do that? No. Similarly, if one of my friend invested in mutual funds and he was able to pull off amazing gains, do you feel automatically even I'll be able to do that? Answer is again no. And that's the exact reason why we are going to discuss about few important mutual fund ratios which would help us in taking an informed decision. So let's start with the very first one, which is standard deviation. Standard deviation measures the dispersion of a data set relative to its mean. And I'm sure that you have understood nothing. Don't worry, we'll take a simple example for this. Assume that we have portfolio A, which gave a return of 15% in year 1, minus 5% in year 2 and 25% in year 3, versus portfolio B, which gave a return of 10% in year 1, 8% in year 2 and 11% in year 3. Now what do you think? A was more consistent or B was more consistent? Obviously the answer is that B was more consistent. In simple words, the deviation was comparatively less. I can also compare portfolio A and B with Virendra Sehwag and Rahul Dravid. Virendra Sehwag's innings was something like 100 runs in first match, 200 runs in second match and 0 runs in the third match. But for Rahul Dravid, I can say match 1, match 2, match 3, more or less the runs will be similar. So here I can say that the standard deviation of Rahul Dravid's runs was amazing because the deviation was comparatively less. So what you as an investor should do, if you don't want to take a lot of risk, you should always choose a mutual fund which has a comparatively low standard deviation. So let's move on with the second one, which is alpha. Alpha is the risk-adjusted measure of how a security performs in comparison to the overall market average return. The loss or profit achieved relative to the benchmark represents the alpha. And again, it was a complete bouncer. So that's why, in simple words, what does alpha mean or what does alpha denote? Alpha denotes the investment manager's ability to beat the market. So assume that the expected returns from the market are 10%. But the actual return which the fund manager is able to generate is 12%. Then in that case, alpha will be nothing but 12 minus 10 and that will be equal to 2. I hope this was simple. Still, I'll give you one more example. Assume that if alpha of a specific mutual fund is 1.5%, it means that the fund has outperformed the benchmark by 1.5%. But on the contrary, if alpha is of minus 1.5%, it will mean that the mutual fund returns were lower than the benchmark by 1.5%, obviously on the negative side. So now you only tell me, higher alpha is better or lower alpha is better? Obviously the answer is higher the better. So let's move on with the third one, which is the Trenor's ratio. This ratio was named after an American economist, Jack Trenor. It tells us how successful an investment is in providing compensation to the investors for taking an investment risk. It uses portfolio's beta, that is the sensitivity of the portfolio returns to the movements in the market to judge the risk. So I'll also tell you the formula. I'm sure again the first half was like crazy, but it's okay, just move on and just listen to it, okay? What is Trenor's ratio? It's calculated as the portfolio return minus risk-free return divided by portfolio beta, okay? I'll try and simplify this part. If you understand this, upar wala is like theory, okay? So now what is portfolio return? It's nothing but the return that the portfolio generates for me. Assume that I got a return of 11%. That's the portfolio return, right? What is a risk-free return now? Risk-free return is nothing but the return that I can get if I invest in government securities. तो जैसे गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज में अगर मैं पैसा डालती हूँ तो ये पैसा डूबने का चांस तो बहुत कम है ना, इसीलिए इसको रिस्क फ्री रिटर्न बोलते हैं. तो मान के चलो गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज में इन्वेस्ट करने के बाद मुझे 5% रिटर्न मिलता है. तो टेल मी हाउ मच इज रिस्क फ्री रिटर्न? इट इज 5%. एंड लास्ट तीसरा कंपोनेंट ये फॉर्मूला में आता है, दैट इज द पोर्टफोलियो बीटा. अब पोर्टफोलियो बीटा, व्हाट इज बीटा? इट्स नथिंग बट द सेंसिटिविटी to something, sensitivity to the market, sensitivity to the benchmark, ठीक है. So अगर ये तीन individually भी अगर आपको समझ में आए तो let's again take an example. Assume that a fund A has given a return of 11%, risk-free return is 5% and portfolio beta is 2. Then how much will be the trainer ratio? We'll calculate it as 11 minus 5 divided by 2. तो obviously इसका आंसर आने वाला है 3. अब पॉइंट है कि 3 का मतलब क्या है ये अपने को समझ में आना चाहिए. सो इट इम्प्लाइज दैट द फंड गेव 3 यूनिट्स ऑफ रिटर्न फॉर एवरी एडिशनल यूनिट ऑफ मार्केट रिस्क अज्यूम्ड. ठीक है, तो इट्स इन सिंपल वर्ड्स इट्स अ कोरिलेशन बिटवीन आपको रिटर्न कितना मिल रहा है वर्सेस आप रिस्क कितना ले रहे हो. सो इट्स एज गुड एज 1 यूनिट ऑफ रिस्क के लिए आप 3 यूनिट्स ऑफ रिटर्न लेके आ पाए. अब आप ही बताइए, दिस इज केस 1 एंड केस 2 इज 1 यूनिट ऑफ रिस्क के लिए आप 5 यूनिट ऑफ रिटर्न लेके आए. तो कौन सा बेटर रहेगा, पहला वाला या दूसरा वाला? तो ऑब्वियसली आंसर इज दूसरा वाला, बिकॉज उतना ही रिस्क लेके आप ज्यादा रिटर्न लेके आ पाए, राइट? एंड दैट इज नथिंग बट योर हायर द बेटर फंडा. I hope you have understood this ratio as well. Well, the next one is the Sharpe ratio. Many people feel that Brenner's ratio and Sharpe ratio is the same. In fact, the numerator is the same. What is different is the denominator. Brenner's ratio considers only systematic risk, but the Sharpe ratio considers both systematic risk and non-systematic risk. Then what is the formula for Sharpe ratio? It's calculated as portfolio risk minus risk-free return divided by standard deviation. Well, you might be surely better off as compared to the previous one, but again we'll take an example so that life is easier. So I'm sure by now numerator is clear, because as I said, numerator is anyway same for the both, right? So let's take an example. Assume that there are 2 investment managers, A and B, right? Investment manager A generated a return of 15% and investment manager B generated a return of 12%. What do you feel? Who performed better, A or B? The answer is obviously yes, A. But wait, अभी तो पार्टी शुरू हुई है, अभी इसके बाद और डेटा आ रहा है. Let's dig down further. Say that the risk-free return is 5% and obviously the risk-free return will be same for both. Now one more point we'll try to add. What is that? Manager A's portfolio has a standard deviation of 8% while manager B's portfolio has a standard deviation of 5%. Now, if I were to calculate Sharpe ratio for manager A's portfolio, that will be calculated as 15 minus 5 divided by 8, and that will be what? That will be 1.25. But if I were to calculate the same for manager B, that will be 12 minus 5 divided by 5, and that will be equal to 1.4. Now, which one is better according to you? Based on these calculations, manager B was able to generate a higher return on the risk adjusted basis. So if you have understood for the previous one as well as this one, the base logic is same. With the given risk, how much more returns are you able to generate? So again the same logic flows, higher the better. And the last ratio in this video is expense ratio. Let's take an example for this as well. Assume that you invest your money in a mutual fund. Now, don't you think that the mutual fund will also have a lot of expenses to bear? Like what? Like the fund management fee, like the agent's commission, registrar fees, auditor fees, advertisement expenses, and so many more. So to manage these expenses, the fund house charges a fee for their services, which is called as the expense ratio. Now what SEBI has done, SEBI has set the limits for expense ratio. The maximum limit of expense ratio as per SEBI for equity fund is 2.5% per annum. In case of debt funds, it is 2.25% per annum, and for index funds, it is 1.5% per annum. In case of equity funds, SEBI has additionally defined slabs for charging of the expense ratio. Well, the rule is simple. More the AUM, lesser will be the expense ratio. Expense ratio, always remember, is not paid separately. It is deducted from your daily NAV. So it is charged irrespective of whether a fund generates a positive return or a negative return. I hope you have understood all the ratios that we discussed in this video. I hope you'll agree with me that as we say, look before you leap, you should also say that study before you invest. So thanks for watching our video on mutual fund ratios from our Learn with Upstox series. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you did, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe. If you have any question regarding the video, do leave a comment below. And also don't forget to hit the bell icon so that you will get a notification of their latest videos.